Alright, this is John Cola with okraw.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you, and this episode actually is dedicated to my dad. And anyways, we'll get more into that in a second, but I know a lot of you guys actually have family members, husband or wife, brothers, sisters, parents, or even kids that you wish they would eat healthier because you found, probably one of the best diets on earth to eat, a plant-based diet that's rich in fruits and vegetables, right? But they still want to eat whatever they're eating, right? And one of the things that actually I've had to do over the many years I've been doing this, 21 years now, is just let people be, right? Give them their space to do what they want to do and let them eat what they want to eat. And you could lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. And, just love the person or loved ones in your life and respect their decisions and let them do what they want to do because, after all, it is their life that they get to choose what in life they want to do. But the other thing is that you need to be okay with that, And I guess without further ado, let's go ahead and just get into this episode because it's actually kind of near and dear to my heart. So a couple weeks ago, actually, my dad was hospitalized. I got a call and an email from my mom, and actually he was hospitalized with pancreatitis, which is actually a life-threatening situation. So actually, like at 2 a.m. in the morning, he was taken in to the hospital, admitted into intensive care, was there almost a week because he had pancreatitis. That's basically inflammation of your pancreas. I mean, it can be caused by many different things. But luckily, he made it out of there. And this video is basically for him sharing my opinions on the situation. And I know sometimes me and my parents have differences of opinion on what's healthy and what's not healthy. Like I personally believe that eating animals and animal flesh and animal products such as milk and dairy and eggs are just not healthy and will shorten your life and cause a lot of health challenges, especially if overeaten, which is what most Americans do. So I want to minimize, things that are not healthy for me and maximize the healthiest foods on the planet. So, any case, so I'm just putting it out there, and if people want to listen to my ideas, my parents or anybody else out there, I'm grateful. And because this is how I choose to live my life. And, you guys don't have to live your life how I live my life. This is how I'm living my life. And I'm sharing it with you guys if you guys are curious about what I do to, maintain a healthy weight. Now for the last 20 years, I've stayed the same weight, and you can't say that for my high school cohorts or even my brother, who's 2 years younger than me, who was just labeled clinically obese by his doctor. And most people, they just gain weight and they just can't get it off. Well, even better than gaining weight and getting it off is just not get it off, not get any in the first place. Plus, another thing that's important to me is my health. I almost lost my life when I was in my 20s. I was in the hospital, and doctors did tell me, I was in the emergency, and the doctors did tell me, John, you might not make it out of here. And let me tell you, when that happens, it's a wake-up call. So hopefully, because my dad's situation was pretty dire, in my opinion, this is a wake-up call for him, and he could either step up the plate and hit a home run, although I know he's not in a baseball. My brother will get that analogy. Or he could step up the plate and just let the ball hit him, and take it, and then, get out of the game. And whatever you choose to do, Dad, I want to let you know that I love you and I support you, whatever you want. And hopefully you will choose health, and so that you could, enjoy this planet, your grandson and my grandson one of these days, before you move on. So in any case, why did my dad get pancreatitis? Because, I'll post a link down below where my dad, is converted to a pretty healthy diet overall, But he still had some health challenges that cropped up, and all I know and all I could say is that, nobody's perfect. And I know, I get reports from my brother and my mom that, oh, Dad ate crappy this day or that day and all this stuff. And I want to let you guys know that, diet is only one aspect of health, right? Our diet, as much as we put a lot of emphasis on it, it's only one aspect of health. You need to be healthy in other areas, healthy in your mind, body, soul, spiritually, physically, Get enough rest, minimize the stress in your life. And also, try to stay true to your diet. And more importantly, besides staying true to your diet, even if you get off track, because, most people will get off track, and that's all right. We're all human. We are not perfect, but the goal is not perfection. The goal is to do the best you can. And also, accept the results of your actions. If you eat something that's not good for you and you feel crappy the next day, hey, you caused that on yourself, right? And just face it, and don't beat yourself up over it, but know that you could improve next time and take it as a learning experience. Wow, when I ate the chocolate chip cookie, I got a stomach ache. I didn't feel good, and I felt like being a couch potato and watching TV and not going out and going for a bike ride, right? And we just need to learn from our experiences, even if, you're getting up there in age like my dad is. You can still learn from your experiences. It's never too late. Never too late. So, everybody slips up. Oh, and the other thing, too, about the diet is even if you're on a raw food diet, doesn't mean you're going to be healthy. I'll post a link down below where my buddy David actually got a stroke on a raw food diet, and there's some reasons for this, and I want you guys to be familiar with this so you can prevent this from occurring to you. Just because people eat fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, in a plant-based diet doesn't mean they're automatically going to get the free bill of health, because once again, health is about other things besides diet. And then also, there are better and worse ways to do a raw foods diet. And in this episode, I'm going to explain the things that I would do specifically to increase my parents' health if they choose to incorporate some of these, things into their life. So number one, my dad had pancreatitis. Why did this occur? Well, I did some research online. I'm not a doctor, so don't take any medical advice from me. Please see a qualified physician. But that being said, pancreatitis basically happens when enzymes get blocked up in your pancreas, and then the enzymes your body's making starts digesting itself. And then that's really not a good thing. There can be many causes for this, like, overconsumption of alcohol or excessive drinking, or, eating excessive fat, or, there's many other, drug-related interactions. I know my dad is on some pharmaceutical drugs, and who knows, there's always undesired effects, which drug companies call side effects, to taking drugs, so this may be an issue. Another thing that may cause pancreatitis that I looked up is actually high PTH levels, or parathyroid hormone levels in the blood. And my dad was having a challenge with one of his parathyroids making too much PTH. So for years before he actually got it removed surgically, he had a lot of high PTH. So all these may have been a factor, plus in addition to stress and maybe not eating properly sometimes, and not being, a holistic and having a holistic balanced health. Nonetheless, I don't really blame why this occurred. The whole thing is, now that it's occurred, what can we do to fix it? I'm a guy and I like fixing things. So what can we do to fix it? So in my opinion, there's a few things, especially because my dad just had the pancreatitis, that he definitely should be doing. Number one is basically just getting rid of all the alcohol. He barely drank anyways, but just a reminder, I got to get rid of the alcohol. It's not a good thing for pancreas. Number two, you got to stop eating fats. So yes, this means any kind of oils, this means any kind of nuts, this means any kind of seeds. These things can exacerbate and cause problems with your pancreas, because you're making your pancreas maybe work harder, because they are a little bit more challenging to digest. Another thing I would recommend is make sure you avoid things like the animal products, including meats and dairy and cheeses and eggs. Those are all, high in fat and not going to be good for you. Also things like processed foods, whether that's candies or cookies, or like potato chips. They've been fried in oil. They're actually quite fatty. Those things are not going to be good for you. So if you're thinking, man, John, what is your dad going to eat? What's left? Well, plant-based foods, fruits and vegetables, they're left. Also other whole sources of grains and beans, they're left. And you can make a really healthy diet on those items alone, in my opinion. So that's really what the food groups that he should be focusing on, and especially with an emphasis on the fruits and the vegetables. I mean, that's what I focus on. I don't want to waste my time with other foods, but of course, some people don't want to eat fruits and vegetables all the time, or it's hard to get good quality and the high quantity of fruits and vegetables in their diet. So the other things that I recommend is something that I have been recommending for many years now, at least maybe 20 years potentially, is juicing. I've constantly recommended my parents to juice. They should be juicing every single day to concentrate the amount of the leafy greens and other vegetables they're getting into them. You know, diets these days, standard American diet, it's just really poor in high quality nutrition such as vitamins, minerals, and more importantly the phytochemicals. Many of the phytochemicals are shown to be anti-cancer, anti-disease, anti-inflammatory, anti-this, anti-that, and people are eating high carbohydrate foods with low antioxidant foods, and the vegetables, leafy green vegetables specifically, are the highest, next followed by the other vegetables, then maybe like by some fruits and roots vegetables, are really high. Of course, beans are also really good too, but we really need to concentrate the quantities. As much as my dad would eat, maybe some salad at night and maybe not get the best digestion because he would chew it and then swallow it after 2 chews and leaves would come out of him whole. So you're not really getting the nutrition when you're doing that. But when you juice it, you take away the fiber, you put the nutrients in a water-soluble solution that you could drink, and then your body is more able to absorb the nutrition from that and get the nutrients out. Plus you can supersize the amount of fruits and vegetables you take in by juicing them, which actually can't be done through eating or just simply making smoothies. So I really encourage my parents, and you guys out there too, if you want to be on a proactive health approach instead of a reactive, in this case we're kind of being reactive, but once we're being reactive, it's better to switch in a proactive mode so that my dad doesn't get, pancreatitis or any other disease again. So yeah, juicing every day, and I would do that for breakfast every day, super critical. I know they're currently making green smoothies for breakfast, and I think this is great, but in my opinion, juices are superior in this situation. Maybe a green smoothie with some fruit in it for lunch would be wonderful, and a juice for breakfast would be great, and snack on some fruits during the day, and then have a nice large blended salad at night. We'll get into that in a second. So next thing I'd say, we just get into the blended salad for dinner. So instead of just eating a salad, because I know my dad just eats like the standard spring mix like probably every day, and a salad, and they probably eat like maybe some cooked plant-based food such as beans and rice and other things. It'd be definitely good to kind of move away from any kind of processed prepared foods that you just reheat, but to make them yourself. I would start doing blended salads on a daily basis. In addition, to feel full, I would maybe do some baked or steamed or boiled. And if you're baking it, bake it at low temperature. Like sweet potatoes or other colorful potatoes, so like purple potatoes or carrots or orange or purple yams or sweet potatoes. So do that. Maybe some cooked beans, so like cooked dark beans such as black beans and whatnot. And that'd be the second half of the dinner, at the end to fill up. And then the first half would be like a blended salad. So what I would recommend is take the blender and put in a bunch of tomatoes and some peppers, yellow, orange, or red peppers, and a bunch of greens and some spices such as some turmeric, and blend that up and drink that for dinner. In this way, if you're having juice for breakfast, a green juice for breakfast, a green smoothie for lunch, and then you're having, a blended salad for dinner, you're really maximizing the amount of fruits and vegetables, which is what I want all you guys to be eating, as much fruits and vegetables as you can. And then to fill up, once you got all your fruits and vegetables in, at the end, then have some, lightly cooked, boiled, steamed, or pressure cooked, carbohydrate-rich food, such as like some really highly pigmented, root vegetables, or some beans, colorful beans, and maybe some rice. But I kind of like the beans more than the rice. And this is probably one of the healthier diets. This is what's known as a nutritarian diet. Dr. Joel Fuhrman, he probably wouldn't exactly recommend what I'm recommending to you, Dad. But basically, you're eating for antioxidants and filling in with carbohydrate-rich foods to meet your caloric needs. And that's simply what I do. I mean, I don't include, I don't, do the last one, which is, eat extra carbohydrate foods to meet my needs, because I'm able to meet all my needs with, our fruits and vegetables and some nuts and seeds at night. But see, you're not going to be doing that, Dad, because, it's not good for you to have any kind of fats. And so if I was making the blended salad at night, I'd, put a handful of nuts with some extra powdered flaxseed in there, for a little fat. I like to add things like miso, some sauerkraut, and the vegetables that I just listed a little bit earlier, as well as some spices, whether that's taco seasoning, curry seasoning, jerk seasoning. I like to add spices at night. That gives you an antioxidant boost and also makes the food that you're eating taste better. Now, by blending your food, Dad, you're going to get much better uptake, and it's going to be a lot easier for your body to digest it than full-on leaves that are not being chewed properly. So that's the main dietary recommendations that I would give. So you're primarily going to be eating raw and juices and smoothies and some blended salads and also some, lightly cooked items. And it's very important, to not include things when you go to the store or you go down and buy the paper in the morning. You might want to pick up a donut or get a croissant or who knows whatever you do. It'd be definitely good to just avoid those things and instead go to the store and pick up the paper and buy a banana and eat a banana or an apple or an orange. Pick any fruit out of the produce section and eat that instead of getting, a croissant or anything else, because, we want to try to move you in a better direction. Of course, if you get the croissant, you want to get the croissant, you're going to do whatever you want to do, and I'll be all right with that, but I'm just letting you know what I would do, and, because I had to do this myself after I got out of the hospital. I had to figure out what's the best diet to eat, and that's just simply what I've done. And I mean, I've taken it to the extreme by even, growing the highest quality food, because that ain't coming out of the grocery store, and I've been, also offering you guys for the longest time to put a garden in your house, but it's still not, being accepted. So maybe you'll accept that. So anyways, besides making the dietary changes and not eating the bad stuff, there are a few supplements. Now, I'm not a big fan of supplements overall, but in some situations they can be helpful, and especially when somebody's having some chronic situations, certain supplementation may be necessary to fill in some gaps that may not be able to get from the food. So some of the supplements that I've looked up online that may be helpful in your situation are things like the grape seed extract. This is actually very high in antioxidants, and the problem is when you have the pancreatitis, when you're at the hospital, they would give you morphine. So that's like a drug that just trying to make the pain go away or mask the pain so you didn't feel it. The problem is the morphine, probably made you constipated, and that's why you told me you were constipated. But the other thing it actually doesn't solve the root of the problem. If your check engine light's on, which I know in your cars right now it's on, and you put a Band-Aid over it and you just keep driving, there's still a problem. And I know the problem is probably your tires or something, your tire pressure sensors, which is actually, in my opinion, not a big deal, and I'd probably just drive with the light on. I'm driving with the check engine light on one of my cars, but, the car runs fine. But when it's your body, it's a little bit different. You definitely want to take care of it. And so when you give the morphine or whatever, it doesn't correct the problem. And the problem that the morphine was hiding was inflammation. And the doctors did nothing, in my opinion, to, squelch the inflammation, but just try to cover it up and let your body heal itself. And it especially didn't help when they fed you the hospital food, which was pretty much packaged junk food, which won't help the situation either. So high antioxidants will and have been shown to help with inflammation, so that's why I recommend the grapeseed extract. And also I would recommend something like turmeric and curcumin, which curcumin is an extract of turmeric. This is probably one of the most anti-inflammatory foods to help you out and also give you a nice antioxidant boost. That being said, all the foods I recommend, are also, high in antioxidants compared to other foods that are out there. The more junk foods, processed foods you eat, the less antioxidants you get, and the less your body is able to heal. And this is a big problem with the standard American diet today. Two other supplements that I recommend are vitamin C and grapefruit seed extract. This has been shown to help people with pancreatitis. In addition, I would also recommend taking oral enzymes to hopefully help digest your food so your pancreas doesn't have to work as hard to make enzymes. As much as our pancreas makes enzymes, there are enzymes in food that help us digest it, but in this case it'd be good probably to take some supplemental enzymes to just make sure your pancreas has an easy time and your body could really focus on healing instead of always playing catch up, when you're not feeding it or eating the right proper diet. Now, this diet may seem restrictive, to many people, and for me, I'd rather be on a restrictive diet and live a long, healthy life than be on an unrestricted diet and live a short, pain-filled life. And Dad, you get to make this decision, and as do all my viewers that are watching this video. And whatever you guys choose, I don't care. Even my brother, he gets to make choices every day on what he chooses to eat, and I love him no matter what. I'll sit across from him in McDonald's or wherever we eat, and I'll bring my, smoothie and juices in a bottle and my fresh fruit, and I'll eat with him. And I don't care, but I don't want to eat that stuff myself, and it makes me sad when I see people eat things that aren't so healthy for them. But that's just my issue to deal with, not anybody else's, okay? So that's basically the summary, then here's the other thing that happened. So when my dad was in and got the pancreatitis, they did a CT scan. They found some lumps or something on his kidneys, and then they're like, "No, this could be cancer and stuff." And evidently, the doctors actually didn't tell him there was lumps on the kidneys and it could be precancerous. Actually, my mom had to request the records from the hospital and then find this out for herself. So if you guys are hospitalized with any major situation, request your records and have somebody like your spouse or a loved one or a friend, family member, go over them to make sure that you know what's going on, because the patient may not be aware of everything, being on drugs, or they may not even tell the patient, and I don't exactly know what happened in this case. So in any case, the doctor said, John, you have a tumor on your kidney. We have a couple options. There's chemotherapy, some kind of radio frequency ablation or something. It's like using microwave waves, or they could cut it out. And the doctor basically just presented the options that he's into. I mean, they are in practice. Like if you take your car to a car mechanic, the options are take the engine apart and fix it and give it back to you, They're not going to, do something else, because they just know mechanics and that's what they know to do. They don't know how to do other stuff. And just likewise, the doctor knows surgery and drugs and conventional treatments that are paid for, and they're educated by a whole pharmaceutical industry and medical industry that's just, unfortunately these days, for the most part, based around money. And when that gets involved, that's really sad, because the doctor has to get paid. And when they do surgeries, they get paid. When they prescribe drugs, they get paid. And when they do things that they can do, they get paid. But if they were to give you nutritional advice, they don't get paid. So so a biopsy was taken. They found out that it was actually non-cancerous. So he has some kind of growth on his kidney that's non-cancerous. And so they wrote me back and told me the two options. And I said, hey, there's a third option. Take better care of yourself, minimize the stress, have a good balance in your life, stress levels, sleep, anxiety, exercise, physical and mental and spiritual stuff, and of course, diet. So, in my opinion, you can eat to prevent things like cancer from occurring. And it's unfortunate that we're just not simply taught this. There are certain foods that have been identified as potent cancer killers, and there is just known research on this. For example, broccoli sprouts, or other brassica family plants like the ones I have planted here, there, and there. All these beds, all 6 beds behind me, have anti-cancer foods growing within them. They're all the brassica family plants: cauliflower, kale, bok choy, arugula, collard greens, Brussels sprouts. All these things are anti-cancer foods. The problem is, how much of these foods have you been eating in the last 10 years, Dad? I mean, if you eat a spring mix, I don't think they have any of those. They just have some lettuces in there, right? We need to eat these foods each and every day. So when you guys juice and make blended smoothies, you want to rotate the different greens every different day. You don't want to always get spring mix. You don't always want to get spinach, right? Those have less of the cancer-fighting nutrients than the brassica family of plants. In addition, other cancer-fighting foods that have been shown are things like onions, which are actually right in front of me. The camera can't see. I have some leeks back there. I have shallots and a couple beds of onions planted out. These are also very important cancer-fighting foods, that I like to include in my diet, several times a week. So these are also very important foods to include regularly in your diet. So, that'd be my option, if I had a growth or something like that. you know, is to eat anti-cancer foods and bone up on them. You know, if you're told you got cancer, you know, you don't want to just keep eating bananas all day. Oh yeah, I'm going to heal my cancer with bananas. You need to eat cancer-fighting foods. I mean, they're going to give you cancer-fighting drugs. Why not do cancer-fighting foods? And furthermore, I mean, certain foods, I have a video, I'll post a link down below. You know, there's fertilizers. You could grow these crops with certain fertilizers and even make them more potent anti-cancer, you know, based on the nutrition within them. For example, you know, ruthenium and platinum levels. So that's even going further. So I'm going to call my buddy and see if I could get you some of that anti-cancer, you know, lettuce powder that has high trace minerals in there for you guys. So, Dad, you know, whatever you choose to do, I want to let you know that I love you. You know, I hope and pray that you'll be here for a long time. And I hope and pray that you're going to do some of the things I say. Because I know you saw your dad, you know, pass away and how hard it was for you. And I don't have to go through that yet. I want you and Mom to be healthy and alive for a long time. And this is the same for everybody out there watching this. You know, we all make choices every day. Every meal, every bite you take, every thought that goes through your head, you could choose health or you could choose disease and sickness. You know, your thoughts, you know, are also a big component of health. You know, what you choose to think, what information you choose to put in your body. You know, whether that's through the TV or through the news media, that's, you know, spreading in many cases misinformation. All these things play a factor, and I'm just trying to deal with the food today. But yeah, I want you guys to put good stuff in, and you'll get good stuff out. Take every eating, you know, time, every meal that you make, whether that's lunch, breakfast, dinner, or, you know, just your meal times, whatever time they may be, because I don't have regular lunch, breakfast, dinners, as an opportunity to eat antioxidant-rich foods that will prevent and keep disease away, instead of, you know, having to fight it off like my dad is in this situation. That's what I strive to do, and it's unfortunate that many people, even in a plant-based, raw, or vegan diet, are simply, you know, just, oh yeah, I'm all right because I'm raw vegan. But I see people that are raw vegan get cancer all the time. And is that because they're not eating copious amounts of cruciferous and different kinds of cruciferous vegetables and being balanced in other areas? Well, I think so. You know, I'm constantly on a learning and growing journey, and I'm just here to share that with you guys, as well as my parents and it just everybody who's watching this. So thank you for being one of my viewers. Thank you for watching this, because I know you are concerned about your health, because you wouldn't have watched this whole video half hour long if you weren't, and because I know a lot of people probably bailed before we got to the end. So I really respect you guys that have watched this to the end. If you guys enjoyed this episode, hey, please give me a thumbs up. Actually, give me a thumbs up if you think my dad should start eating healthy, man. Please, nobody thumbs down this. And Dad, I hope you guys, you know, start eating healthier and do some of the things that I've told you guys for a while now. And I hope you guys that are out there that are, you know, not related, that I'm not related to, that I've never met, hope you guys start to do this stuff just now before, you know, you have some kind of chronic health condition in the hospital, and then it's harder to dig yourself out of the hole than to stay out of the hole in the first place. So also be sure to check my past episodes. I have a wealth of information contained in my episodes, videos that you'll just not hear on any of their YouTube channel. Also be sure to click the subscribe button right down below to be notified of my new and upcoming episodes. I have new and upcoming episodes coming out every 5 to 7 days. You never know what you'll be learning or how your life will be enriched by watching one of my videos. So anyways, once again, my name is John Kohler with okraw.com. We'll see you next time. And until then, remember, keep eating your fresh fruits and vegetables. They're always the best. All right, this is John Kohler with okraw.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you. We got two wonderful babies here. We got Murphy over here, and we got Lucy down here. They're both greyhounds, and these are rescue greyhounds, right? They're rescue greyhounds.